We were sitting down to dinner
when all of a sudden the door burst open. There were 10 soldiers who came into the house. We had a few minutes to get our things together and come with them. The sun glittered on their rifle bayonets, and they looked really frightening. We grabbed all the clothes and food we could, but in a few minutes the soldiers became impatient. They told us to get out. They told us we were going to a stockade on the Hiwassee River. We went outside. First my husband, then the children, and then me. 5 soldiers in front, 5 behind. Smoke was rising from the houses of our neighbors. Already, looters had broken into our house, breaking up the furniture and throwing kitchen pots and pans around. I pointed out what was happening to the soldiers. They just grunted and pushed us down the path. I gave one look back at our farm and saw men were leading the cattle out of the barn. We stayed at the stockade a long while. And then in October, we assembled at the river junction. Here we were taken across the Tennessee. There were 13 groups of us, with about 1,000 in each group. The government permitted us to be led by our Baptist minister, Reverend Jesse Bushyhead. He and some of his men had time to dismantle our Baptist church. They put the planks and logs on wagons. Now all of us, some on horseback, some in wagons, most of us on foot, started walking west. How to tell you of that march? The autumn rains turned the roads to mud. Our wagons could barely move. When the cold, damp days of winter came, the children got measles and whooping cough. Supplies had to be dumped or carried on our backs to make room for the sick in the wagons. Soon the sick were dying. The youngest children and the oldest people died first. They died of disease, of exhaustion, and from hunger. If we had time, we marked their graves, stone or box, and some poles with streamers around them. There were times when 15 to 20 people died every day. Reverend Bushy had tried to keep our spirits up. Every Sunday, no matter how we felt, we stopped and had Sunday services. We reached the Great River in January and found it full of ice. We had to wait for the channel to clear. That was the worst time. We waited for weeks on the eastern bank. The ground was covered with snow. The wind was icy. There were hundreds of sick and dying. Some lay on the snowy ground with only a blanket over them. The place was Cape Girardeau. Here, Reverend Bushyhead's daughter, Otaki, died. Finally, we crossed the river, and we staggered on toward our promised land.